Hi everyone, my name is Olga and this is Primelang.
Hi everyone, I'm Yana, and today we would like to touch upon a very trendy topic in language learning, namely using apps and using different technology in learning languages. So, Olga, can we start with you, and maybe you can share with us your personal experience, or maybe you got some stories, and of course, share with us your opinion on different apps.
Right, so maybe you know that I am not a big app user. I'm not an app user at all, probably I should say, though I've used Duolingo. Um, so mostly because I am pretty old-fashioned person and I don't rely on technology very much. But today, apps, of course, for language learning, this is like a tool everybody uses, and there are all sorts of apps. Like there are apps for learning vocabulary. There are apps like Duolingo, where you can practice some maybe even grammar and make simple sentences. There are apps where you can meet language partners, native speakers, and whatnot. I think there are, yes, definitely there are apps that will remind you, like calendars, that will remind you what to do when. You can schedule your lessons, you can schedule your lesson plans, and so on. So while I'm sure all this is just wonderful, I think that if um, using these apps takes like 90% of your language learning time, maybe that is too much, and that's when you should stop and think maybe you are overusing them. Because in some sense, I think language learning is pretty straightforward, and there are four types of language activities, right? So there is speaking, reading, listening, and writing. And well, you should practice all of them. That's that. And sometimes maybe it's easier and better to just sit down and watch a film, and even maybe do it not when your calendar tells you, because you might not be motivated for that right at that moment, but just do it when you have a free evening, when you have time, when you feel like doing it, or just, call your native speaker friend and have a chat in your target language rather than go to these apps and so on. Again, for vocabulary, I think it's can be just as much fun if you just draw in your notebook, make some sketches. You don't really need to stick your nose into the device all the time, and well, that's the point I want to make. So don't overuse apps, because I've noticed that there are so many videos about them, and how this app is great and that app is helpful, and sometimes it seems that all people do when learning languages is playing with this app. So language learning is not about playing with technology. That's the point, maybe a very controversial point, but still a point I want to make. What about you, Yana? What's your experience, and do you have some stories to share?
Well, personally, I haven't even tried to use any apps. Simply because I never felt the need to do it. I never felt that I need to find some new way to learn a language. I've been comfortable all the time with using a textbook, with watching something on YouTube, maybe with listening to
Right,
the radio. Now there are so many authentic sources
right,
that is just enough for me. I don't need any extra help, But I've had a couple of students, and I want to tell a couple of stories actually. The first one was a couple of years ago. He was working with me, and we had some pretty difficult vocabulary. We were having lessons and everything, and every time I was writing down new words in the chat box, and he wouldn't write them down. And I'm asking him, well, why aren't you writing down the new words? And he said, oh, I've got this new app. It's called Quizlet. It's very popular now, and I'm using it for learning new words. And every time I encounter new words, I add these words into my word list in the app, and then it generates some exercises for me, or it reminds me, like Olga mentioned, it reminds when to learn these words, when it's time to review them, or when I need to maybe go back to some words, and it's really, really convenient. And I say, okay, fine, whatever works for you. Um, as long as as you find time for it. And I think eventually he stopped putting adding the words to that list, because the list accumulates and accumulates and accumulates, and after each lesson he needs to find time to add these words to the list, and it's so time consuming. And instead of that, he could just reread real quick what we had been doing during the
Just the
lesson.
chat itself, even,
Right,
yes.
right. Or just to take a little break and then go back to words. I don't know, but I unfortunately can't say that he remembered the words better with the help of that app. And the other story I'd like to tell, it happened just a few months ago. I had a new student, and with her, we only had a couple of lessons. And with her, I did the usual thing. I sent her all the materials that we were using, that I was planning to use with her, a textbook, some other things. And we were working the usual way. I was telling her what page she needs to open, and then I was giving her homework, nothing revolutionary. But then she said, "Oh, I found a company which has it's their own platform, and so they're using an app where everything is clear, where my homework is, what I'm practicing, how many mistakes I'm making." Other things. I can't tell you the details because I haven't used that platform myself. And she says, for me, it's a big problem remembering a page number and then having to read into the task and pay attention to what exactly I have to do, and then to write down something, and then I forget where I write it down. So, Olga, I agree with you here completely that obviously this person over relied on or over relies, maybe I can say, on technology in her life, and especially in her language learning life, as far as I know, that she's not prepared to give it any serious effort. And I think that learning a language it does involve an effort. You have to prepare yourself for commitment. Of course, you have to find time, and you have to make an effort. You have to teach yourself to remember things, because how else, if you can't remember with a page number, how on earth are you going to remember new vocabulary or new grammar or anything? So yes, Olga, sorry, did you want to add
Right. So
something?
I really love this last story because I think it shows that people today have become too lazy. They can't even bother to open a file, to scroll down, to find the place, to read the instructions. This is unbelievable. And I don't know, personally, so maybe that's not something I should be telling you to do, but this is just about me. Honestly, I never even write down the times of my lessons. I just know my schedule, and it's okay. I can remember when the lessons are. And whenever my students find out about this, they are really shocked. They can't believe I can just memorize all this. But to me, I don't know, it's just normal. So I think you should train your brain, and this is just maybe more of a philosophical point about our times in general, but it definitely concerns our how we learn languages, um, because people seem to think that applications will do all the work for them. They will this is kind of like this learn the language while you sleep techniques, something like
Mm-hmm.
this. So it's really getting to that, and people are almost competing who will invent easier things, who will invent more, who will simplify the process more. But you can't really simplify it up to zero. You cannot do that.
Exactly.
You still have to use your brain, you still have to memorize something, practice something, and well, while using applications up to some point is helpful and great,
Mm-hmm.
overusing them is definitely not. So that's what I want to say.
Yes, yes, of course. And so um, now a lot of people seem to be treating language learning as a game. They think it's a game. It can be a game, and a lot of marketing strategies, I think, a lot of popular language learning services, they advertise just that you don't have to really do anything. The language is just, you just can play on your phone the way you play other Super Mario or whatever other games there are, Angry Birds on your phone, and you can do it while you're on the train or on the bus somewhere, and you won't even notice how these words will trickle into your head. Well, that's not going to happen. It might work up to a point, like Olga said, and it might work as a supplementary resource. Maybe you can use them to review something, or to just kind of get a little, if you're a little bit tired of it, of your textbook or of the old resources, you can play with it just to change the activity, but don't think that it's actually going to teach you the language. So, please, this is the point that I wanted to make. Olga, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I think we've mostly covered it. So thanks for watching this video. Drop us a comment and let us know if you use some apps, if you agree with what we've said or not. And if you can recommend some apps, that is also great.
Yes, maybe we are wrong. Maybe we are wrong in something, and we'd love to hear about
Right.
that.
Yes. In any case, as we've said, using apps can be very helpful. And since we are not the first people to go to about what apps to use, maybe you, our viewers, can let us know and let other people who watch this know about some good apps. That will be very helpful. And well, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in our new videos. Bye bye.
Bye bye.